Ja.
Hallo zusammen. Ich begrüße euch zur Explorerweek. Ich hoffe, ihr könnt mich alle gut hören. Mein Name ist Benedikt Herrmann. I'm opening this week in English in the afternoon because we have got Vital on the line and potentially more English speakers. So I hope that is okay with you, Günther, Stefan, and dear colleagues from Germany. I'm very, very pleased that we are trying out this format for the first time this week, that you are on board to participate in an exciting program, starting with exploring the magic of Q. We had a session in German this morning, and we wanted to do it in English. If you like to listen to the recording from this morning in German, it will be provided to you as well, but let's do this session in English. I welcome you as friends of Q, as members of World of Q, our ecosystem, and I especially also welcome our customers and prospective customers, who I'd like to give a brief introduction into what the magic of Q is. I would like to take the analogy of art, and abstract art like Jackson Pollock made very clear that the true interpretation lies in the eye of the spectator. So it's not easy to identify what the artist wanted to say, and certainly it is not going to be the same interpretation between all of us if we look at such a beautiful piece of art, because there's a lot of things that influence our interpretation, the context we come from, right? Whether we've grown up in the South and are used to colorful environments, or whether we grew up in the North. So every one of us interpreting what is Q, what does Q do for me, relies on the specific perspective that everyone has in its own business life, right? So some of you are working in banking and controlling and credit risk management, some in finance processes, some in supply chain. So everyone brings his perspective to the interpretation of Q. And hence what we try to do is during this week in the agenda to address all of those individual experiences, so that at the end of the week you are able to obtain your personal interpretation of Q. But in a nutshell, it is an all-in-one platform. It is a digital platform of latest architecture, and it allows you to be highly flexible in designing new business processes and managing your projects, right? So let's go through this and learn about the various aspects of Q. The first aspect I'd like to highlight based on my personal experience. What was my motivation to actually become an artist in digitalization, which we all are, right? Every one of us is. And before, it was pretty much standard processes along a waterfall principle, and we implemented huge platforms that took a lot of time and that had very straight principles that needed to be followed. Today's world is totally different, right? We live in a personal world that allows us to change priorities more often than it was in the past, change jobs more often than it was in the past, and to reinvent ourselves many more times than it was used to in the generation of our parents. So when I met the founder of Q-nnect 4 years ago, I came from a world where on a big platform, in this case SAP, the clients actually struggled to obtain business process change in a meaningful time frame. And it was large projects and difficult innovation cycles, difficult alignment between IT release cycles and business innovation cycles. So what attracted me was this ability of Q to actually take away a lot of uncertainty when you make investments decisions, and to create based on a principle of prototyping based on real data, increasingly to gain certainty in what the outcome is that you could expect, right? So this ability to run cycles and cycles of innovation followed one by each other, which built on the learnings and the experience, and do not actually run in a theoretical environment, but embedded in the authentic real infrastructure that you find in the client side, amazed me, right? And since then, I'm very proud that together with other artists in the digitalization, we were able to create the World of Q. We founded in March this year. A couple of founding members already joined this morning. So all artists, some developers, some from the SI world, some actually also part of a digital office, join together in creating solutions and sharing solutions within the community. One of the creative minds that actually inspired us, and maybe I uncover a secret, why is Platform Q called Q, was our friend Q from this James Bond series, and all four that have lived or that have acted in these movies have demonstrated that crazy ideas born in the basement without the need of a manual can actually save lives, right? I wouldn't go that far. But in this session, we've got a couple of demos that brought Mr. Q to us. And based on availability, we had a live demo this morning. We have recorded the demo. I'd like to play a video now and to introduce you to Mr. Q.
Hello, as Benedikt said, my name is Professor Dr. Q, and normally I'm hidden away in the laboratory, but I am the man behind all of this data modeling and data analysis. But when I started with that, yeah, normally data has no meaning, and I was really frustrated with all this analyzing Excel, supervise, whatever you can do, yeah, and the data is really disconnected. And it's really data salad, if it is translates, and you cannot use the data in any reasonable way. It's really not useful to use all the data. The only thing you can do, you can hope if you cut it off and you really destroy the data, that in some point in time it translates for you into a meaning. Yeah, and normally at this point in time, what you need is you need some magic. This is a magic spice, huh? It's Platform Q spice, yeah. And then you can hope that your data turns into a meaning. And yes, the meaning is join the magic world of Q. And that is my message to you. Thanks and bye.
Okay, let's go back to PowerPoint. On the next slide. I hope you liked it. It's not just one artist that we have in the world of Q, the crazy professor, but we managed to attract many more artists that bring their innovations to the ecosystem. And on the right side of the screen, you see a couple of them that actually joined us in the recent weeks and months. One is Greencom Networks. They work in the area of energy. They are an energy information broker. And additionally, they also have own solution and power that manage convergent charging and invoicing into an SAP system. We have IO consultants who have created a analytics as a service, live warehouse dashboards that support dispatchers and warehouse managers powered by Platform Q. We've got Waves. We actually have a session later this week on Thursday who are entering the market with a very innovative carbon footprint reporting solution. They start with products, with transports, and then go over to products. And in order to support these industry and line of business innovators, we proceeded in integrating very modern technologies into Q. It is of utmost importance in our view that every time you actually bring data together, you also have the means to visualize it in true dashboards. So ClickSense is available on a Linux distribution within Q, and we made that available in great partnership. So if we deploy Q, you get ClickSense out of the box. We've got process mining from Mehrwerk, who are delivering pre-configured models with us. So look into your existing usage of processes, being it procure to pay or order to cash, it doesn't matter, and find out either in a context of an S4 migration or in a conformance checking to your compliance setup, whether your organization and which organization is far away and has a bigger need for a change project. We onboarded Vayu, a low-code app building machine, who also allows you to very flexibly design workflows to support the end user in a magnificent user experience. We've got Oikos, who's entering the market in smart city and energy with a semantic modeling environment to ensure that very complex scenarios between demand and supply, for example, for energy usage, can be calculated on the fly. So imagine you've got a car fleet and your device, your car has to make a decision. Is it better to charge now or is it better to charge later? Can I actually sell energy? Those are future-oriented scenarios, and that power of modeling and power of calculating we are including in the platform. We've got Cerulean Circle, who also play in the IoT arena with a plug-and-play object web IDE-based environment, also able to design very easily and fast new customer experiences over web pages. And all these technologies and innovations supported by consulting firms, new on board Bangkok IT with experience in M&A, and they'll have a session this week, and generally on transformation. Isacon, strategic consultancy in banking. TechEdge with lots of technical experience. S4HANA migration, we already pitched with them, also generally in ETL processes. And most recently, DXC in intelligent customer experience, who love our strategy, support our strategy in creating a headless commerce engine where the focus of the company is in the personalization on the front end, and we, Q, take care of all the intelligence in the back end for catalog, for prices, for shopping basket processing, and so on. So a lot of exciting artists, a lot of exciting innovations that support our story to offer plug-and-play business services. We believe the time is over when it was generated by MuleSoft, API-led economy, API-led business transformation. We need to take that API approach to the next level, and those partners are helping us to actually form the right business services to be able to deploy them in your environment with a click. Okay? So World of Q is what we thrive for in addressing all sorts of different companies with this wonderful growing ecosystem. Now, where's the magic in all of this? Because there is microservices platform, right? There is a platform economy out there. It's not that it doesn't exist. But there's some things that surprise ourselves when we go into the first engagements. People say, never saw this, can't believe it, cannot try it out. There's many use cases popping up in my head. That's really beautiful. And the beauty is in the simplicity. right? So we believe the magic, like you've seen with a crazy professor, is it's amazing. Like we were kids in front of a new experience, like the ones in the museum on the slide. It's simply easy. It's easy to create models, and it's even more easy to sustain and to adapt these models through graphical user interfaces all the way. It's not hidden in a programmer's logic what the transformation is actually doing of data, right? And it is very powerful, enabling yourself to do it, right? Our founder always says, just try it out, just do it yourself, right? Don't sketch too long, just connect and move forward. And this connect and move forward is an element that we actually like to demonstrate in the next demo, because we believe in today's world, and 10 years ago it was said, well, the biggest problem is business aligned IT, various departments, it's difficult that they work together. We believe a lot of technology was hindering to do that, and with the capabilities of collaboration, the capabilities of insight, we are actually able that we can untie knots. So with this, I'd like to move to the next demonstration. Please go ahead.
Hello, it's me again, Professor Dr. Q, and I'm normally not the expert to sell our products. This is more like Benedikt, but I try to do my best and explain to you. So Platform Q is about connect data, model data, and of course use data. And normally it's very difficult to get insights out of data. And why is that? Because there is a lot of data sources and there is a knot. Yeah, the knot between systems, human beings, and line of businesses. And in many times the data is coming out of different data sources, so they are disconnected and it's not easy to make the data flow happen. But with Platform Q, it's very easy to connect the data and get the data flow with the Q app connectivity workbench. And with Platform Q, you are very flexible and agile. You can model the big data objects in so-called Q objects with endless opportunities, and you can easily connect those Q objects in the platform and get the data flow going. And with the specially developed mathematics calculator, you can have what-if scenarios. So let's say, what if in the middle of your project you identify you need the data left and right or up and down, totally not connected to the rest of your data model. That's no problem in Platform Q. You just connect the data and the data flow is working again. So I hope you are now convinced that with Platform Q, you can model in these Q objects with endless opportunities, and that's very great. So now I'm a fan and I'm really enthusiastic about the platform, and I think you should go the first step and solve the knot. And a lot of customers postpone that project and move it forward in time that never do it, and that's why they always have the data disconnected. And I want you to do the first step and solve that knot. Many thanks. This is your Dr. Q.
Okay. So after untying actually the knots, I think we're all up for combining what belongs together, because a lot of things that need to work together today are in their silos. So we need to lift them to an environment where we are able to combine them in the logic that is required to actually trigger the process change or to move data from A to B in a more contextual way. So obtaining that transparency is essential to identify the same meaning about data, right? And this is why in many cases people call us a semantic integration platform. The semantic meaning, if it hasn't been established in a form that it can be leveraged by all the consumers in a company, then it's tough that they will actually speak about the same thing. And maybe you also have been part of meetings like myself, where you look at forecast numbers or you look at customer revenues, and they don't match up what various participants in the organization actually bring to the table. So the clear central one truth about the definition of a customer sales history, a customer service history. So from which perspective do you look at a customer? Is it his number of tickets and his satisfaction through the call center? What attributes make up this definition? Or is it the sales revenue that he generated through his contracts and orders over a period of time? This central understanding, unified meaning is absolutely essential to obtain one interpretation. Before it was easy, right? When I was a consultant, it was easy. Everything was in SAP BW, SAP BI. Maybe today in a company that orchestrates everything around HANA, it is in one HANA, right? If that is the one source of truth, if a company only has one source of truth, so be it. But I would say 95% of the cases, there is attributing factors from other sources, and in the agile world, it can be a new business partner, it can be a new factory, it can be a new supplier that actually need to be onboarded, and the complexity of onboarding into mainstream systems just makes it hard to have that one truth and one interpretation around the organization in a short period of time. Especially in an environment with large banks, I've seen 2 banks where they had multiple analytics tools, and every analytics tool had their own interpretation of risk. So how can you manage across multiple countries if there's multiple interpretations of risk, because there's multiple definitions in the analytics environment, being it Power BI or ClickSense or Business Object, it doesn't really matter. These definitions need to come together in a virtual data warehouse, in a place like Q, from where you can then feed those analytics tools as well as mobile systems, as well as give access to your business partners, right? And based on this common semantic meaning, then you can actually succeed in processing data and providing transparency of quality of data, consistency of data, and also in the business process environment. So that is essential and allows us on that common understanding to keep not just people involved, but also the various systems that are involved synchronized, right? So that would be the bare metal of our virtual platform, to keep the various systems of players in sync, and also through the easy browser web front end, allow multiple parties to work on the same common data transformation model and keep people in multiple organizations across boundaries in sync, right? So we've seen the last 3 years that we can actually have an excellent contribution in this, and step by step ensuring that a centrally created innovation actually gets deployed and gets shared and gets improved across multiple organizational departments. Now, that is fine for data model, but you might have been asking, well, modeling is great, but I need to perform many operations. How do I, according to this SOA principle, now bring in services from my internal company world or from the external world? How does Q enable me to actually run data services onto the data? Let's look at the following demo.
With Platform Q, you have all your data and services in one platform, Platform Q. In a lot of companies, they don't have their data in a platform. And if the data is turned around and shaked a little bit, it can well happen that everything is going totally mad. But with Platform Q, what you can do is you can model your data with the business object modeler. And if you do it right, at the end, you will have the same data and services in the system. Just a minute. So, like that. So now you have your data model, but guess what? If there is a little service like Google service or artificial intelligence service, yeah, if you have it modeled, you just put it there. But let's say now it doesn't fit. But as you have modeled your data in Platform Q, it's very easy. You just do a little remodeling, and as you see, in just some minutes, the data is back in order and you have the service included. But guess what? If there's a bigger service, let's say there's a service to track about your goods, you just put it aside, and as the data is modeled now, it's even more easy to integrate that service. You just move a little bit and then you have included both services in your Q platform, and the best is you have all your data in one platform, and it's very easy to include services and data in the future.
I think that one is specifically great because it illustrates so easily what is important. We want the best for our data, right? As we want the best for our lives. And the best for our data usually in the cloud era is being provided through many clouds. So you go to AWS and you find a few services there. You find a few more in Azure, which are more business relevant. Or you go to the Open Telecom Cloud and there's a couple of providers who offer you specific analytics, transformation, calculation, AI, and whatsoever services. But wouldn't it be great if you can take the best service and apply it to your data where your data resides? So Q brings these services to your data place, right? So all the innovations that you have seen before of World of Q integrated through Q, we are able to deploy to your site, right? So our deployment mechanism is bring the best of the services to you and allow you plug and play. So each of those are encapsulated, let's call them Q business services, and you are able to use them when you require, whether it's being assistant intelligence or Google services or delivery tracking or location information, solvency checking. We bundle those services onto our platform and allow you to have a library of rich business services you can pick from. And that without any media break, so that you, doing it yourself, can you begin to perform your own magic, right? Because once you have this underlying foundation, then you can ask questions, well, what if, right? And trigger step-by-step improvements. That plug and play principle you've seen when we talked about data and connectivity, right? It doesn't matter where the data comes from, we harmonize it. You can plug an Excel information together with a web service, together with an SAP information, and create your data model. The same principle here. We harmonize the interfaces into one BPMN based notation and allow you to create transformation chains at supporting your requirement, right? So plug and play all over, low code and plug and play is what we try to do, only the best for your data. Now, if we take this one step further, now imagine that these members in the world of Q take actually their multi-year experience and package it up. So packaging it up the same way as we have packaged apps, and we have managed to created a life cycle through software and deployed software through shops and downloaded it. We're doing it now for business experience and business content. So imagine our members in the world of Q actually create that library of business services, like already some we talked about. Let's take the sustainability report, that CO2 carbon footprint, package up this model and deploy it through Q to your home, right? On the other way, you also, based on the digital innovation platform Q, can create your own content, package it up and deploy it to your internal customers. So you're all within your four walls, and create your own library of business services. And the company who has been doing that is Deutsche Milchkontor, who will be presenting tomorrow. A central shared service unit, in this case, chief controlling staff and company simulation group, is creating common forecast models and ensuring that every other business unit who creates sales forecast within their sales channels is actually leveraging a central library of business services calculating contribution margin and business outlook. You can do that within your four walls, the innovator to consumer relationship, or you can take those innovations out to a public Q store and make it available to the entire community. And the beauty is that innovation actually runs on multiple technologies, right? Because remember Pollock, abstract art, we work on an abstraction layer, and there's multiple connectivity scenarios, which also can be technology packs, which support the business pack. So every logic that our partners create is deployable to any context of technology, which makes it very attractive also for a few newcomers in the market who don't have to worry about the connectivity, don't have to worry about the analytics, can focus on the core of their innovation. Deliver it to the customer and leave it up to some modifications through our graphical user interfaces and personalization for the need of the customer. It's not so different like if you're Lufthansa Technik and you're buying a Rolls-Royce engine, right? Don't think that any airline is flying the engine as it's being delivered. They customize it, they measure the performance, they continue improving performance and apply their own experience and learnings to it. And I'm saying this because there's a couple of people out there who may not believe that you can actually productize experience, right? What we are not doing is productizing, let's say, or we are not claiming that with one click you can actually deploy experience and it will work for you, but we are promising that we'll make it very easy, or we have made it very easy, that you can tailor that pre-produced package to your needs through our tools. There's some exceptions if you talk about regulatory compliance, and I see that Günther is on the call, right? And you work within the EZB mandatory credit risk reports. Then there is standards that you need to comply with. And there is Waves who are bringing out this carbon footprint report. There's a new EU regulation coming out next year. It's a standard, so it's very easy in a regulatory environment to actually pre-manufacture those packages and to deploy them in a standard way. Right? So with this, I'd like to give you a preview on the Q store, right, which we are preparing to release in the fall. To have a couple of packages in there from the world of Q. This Q store will work with a public access. It will work with your private access. If you have Platform Q installed, everyone gets access to this store. And I like to share my screen and give you an impression on how it's currently in the works. So that's a real early preview, but I thought that today we shall show you on how this new way of presenting innovations and art of the world of Q will look like. You see a new front end which allows you to browse for packages in various categories, like you've just seen. There's some announcements on new packages who are in the store. For example, our solvency check partner, who with his service in a B2C or B2B environment is checking changes in the commercial register and in solvency registers. And there's a few packages coming soon. One of the packages that you can see on Thursday, which I mentioned, is sustainability one from Waves, and which is described, and there will be movies and illustrations, and it will be very easy pricing. Don't quote me on that, please. It says small package for $369, for $699. That is certainly a mock-up here. It's not a true price. I will be killed if you quote me on that. So thanks for not doing so. So very easy pricing with small, medium, large packages, depending on the scope that you would like to then actually cover in your management reporting for carbon footprint. Let's go back to the respective slides. And that underlines our vision, right? Our vision is to create those places of innovation in your company, in our partners' companies, and to take away limits, barriers that restricted people of thinking the impossible. That on an infrastructure that every client has, to make it easy to actually take the innovation onto a working scenario. Any company, being it a young entrepreneur, being it a mid-sized company with special expertise who is wanting to scale, and also large enterprises like system integrators who actually are changing their body leasing model into new ways of packaging wisdom and experience in allowing customers to perform self-services guided by consultancy, but not built from ground up every time a similar solution has to be deployed at a customer. So it's a really broad invitation to participate in the world of Q, because I believe that we are all united by the desire that we wish innovation to work instantly, right? As I said in the beginning, not run large projects until a small innovation seed actually becomes a plant and becomes a big tree. So our vision and our aim is to create a forest of innovation of multiple types of trees, and that the fruits of our ecosystem and of our partners in the ecosystem actually then turn into meaningful results and also measurable benefits at our dear customer base. I thank you very much for joining me in opening the very, very interesting Explorerweek. You have multiple paths that you can take. There's multiple perspectives that we address in the various speeches. And I hope that you find the time, and by end of the week, you have your own interpretation of what Q is. And with this, I invite you to the next session in about 20 minutes, where we will look at value points for startup companies and every other larger company. Okay? Take care. I wish you the best, and see you again during the week. Bye-bye.